Would you offer a new contract to Mrazek, or are you guys open to trade him at the trade deadline?
The answer is yes to me.
We were just talking about this. I would bring him back at least for one more year because you're going to need a veteran next year.
Mm-hmm.
And we looked at the pending free agents for goalies this year. It's not great.
Pick your former Hawk.
Basically, anybody who has played goaltender for the Blackhawks in the last 7 years is out there. Marc-Andre Fleury, Antti Ranta, Kevin Lankinen, Colin Delia. You want any of those guys back? I mean, not really.
I like Lankinen, the guy.
I do. I mean, Lankinen has been the better of the two goalies in Nashville this year. But
they should give us Saros just to get that contract off their books.
But I mean,
no close.
I don't know. Like, people are all about, oh, no, good. Now we could trade Mrazek at the deadline. I'm not against it if you're getting value for him, but then what do you have in net unless you're getting a goalie back?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm also...
I don't want to rush Drew Comezzo.
No, there's absolutely no need to.
I don't want to see him up here unless it's by complete necessity.
Right.
Because both NHL goalies are hurt.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, if you get a good offer, if someone comes to you and says, I'll give you a second-round pick for Petr Mrazek, you kind of have to take that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
but I'm not, like, if it's a fourth or a fifth-round pick, thanks but no thanks.
Yeah.
He provides more value to my team playing out this season and possibly coming back next year than a fifth-round pick will.
I just wonder, though, like, if the way he's been playing continues, and I don't know. It's probably the last two games, he's not going to just let up one goal every 2 games, obviously. But I just think in general this year he's been really good. You could see a team get desperate around the deadline and offer you a lot. And I think Davidson needs to be open to that, but I don't think it's to the point where it's like trade him for whatever you can get. Because I do think there's some value in him being back for a year. I don't know, 2 years, I don't know. I think it depends on the money. And if you tell him, like, hey, you're the starter next year, and if Comezzo's ready, then you're going to get paid decently to be his backup the next year.
One goalie
or just ease him in and split it for that.
One goalie that was a free agent this coming year, which is interesting because he's had a really kind of weird career. Carter Hart, at 25.
I've taken a flyer on him.
He might be an RFA, though. I have to double check.
Oh, yeah, that would change things. But, I mean, I'd take a flyer on him. Why not? Yeah, flyer on a flyer. Yeah, exactly. I got it right here.
He might be
Carter
an
Hart
RFA.
Is indeed an RFA.
Yeah, never mind. Disregard.
So,
Yeah, so the goaltending free agent class is not great. We could look at the following season if we want, just to look ahead, just in case, you're still waiting on Comezzo, and you still might be at that point. Or at least you want a veteran that can come in and kind of do a 1A, 1B thing. But, yeah, goaltending is a premium this year. There are a lot of teams that are dying for good goalies.
I also think that we need to realize, too, that there's probably never been a worse time for goalies in hockey. Like, you've got Vasilevsky, you've got Shesterkin, you've got a couple other guys up there at the top, and then it's a whole bunch of meh. Like, even if you go through the list of, like, your quote-unquote contenders, Edmonton, Toronto.
Yeah. Like, well, those teams aren't contenders because they don't. Those goalies aren't going to get it done.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, you look at the teams that are good and, like,
well, it's a salary cap thing.
I think partly. I just think, though, that it's just, we look back on the eras, like, I'm confident saying Boston has good goalies. They've got 2 good goalies.
They do,
no doubt about it.
Yeah, they do.
Florida, Bobrovsky is hot and cold. Toronto, we just talked about. Detroit, Ville Husso.
They got Alex Lyon, who apparently is founded.
I don't know. Like, I'm just going through the list here. Of course, you have Shesterkin.
Yeah,
Ilya Sorokin and the Islanders is great, of course. But Pittsburgh, Carolina, like Colorado, solid goalies, not great. Dallas with Ottinger is good. Winnipeg's got Hellebuck, good.
Yeah.
Nashville's got Lankinen and Saros. Those are good. But, yeah, there's just not a ton of goalies that I'm
that
really this guy is a difference-making
that
goalie.
Pacific Division goaltending is meh.
It's hot ass.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, you've got, Vegas has got Thompson and Hill, but
I feel like those guys are, and I always got mad about this with Crawford. They're products of the team, but I think they're products of the team.
I mean, playing behind a team that scores 5 goals a night helps.
Yeah.
It helps hide some blemishes for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
This is probably one of the weakest eras of goaltending. There are like 4 all-world goalies in the league, and then a whole lot of.
Yeah, I mean, but it also could be that we're also at like a second golden age of scoring. So of course, when the scoring is down and it's really mucky and grindy, that Martin Brodeur and Patrick Waugh these guys are also wearing suitcases on their legs, and they're look at old video of Patrick Waugh in goal. How did anything get past that guy? His equipment was massive.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking anything away from them. Like, if I've got one game to win, that's my goalie. Don't get me wrong.
And the Nets the Nets were bigger, though, but that's why they had so much equipment.
It's just, these guys are, like, those guys back then playing in that clutchy, grindy era, like, of course they're going to be a little bit better. But I don't know. Maybe it could be a factor of the offense being improved and rules kind of favoring the offense right now, and you've got even the best defensemen in hockey are defensemen that can score.
Right.
Like, who are the guys in the league that are, like, shut down great defenders?
I mean, there's a handful.
Like Hedman.
Hedman's
still putting up big points,
right.
too.
You got to do both.
There are no more, Scott Stevens type players.
It's kind of like the what we've seen, the shift in baseball, where, like, everybody just wants to hit a home run. They don't care if they strike out 100 times, 200 times. As long as they hit their 40 home runs, they get their launch angle. We're kind of seeing that in hockey overall. We're like, we'll sacrifice 5 goals a game as long as we can score 6.
Yeah. Well, and it's the same thing in football with running backs.
Mark W. has an interesting thing here. Maybe we could get Markstrom in a salary type deal for a pick, kind of like we did with Mrazek. He's got 2 more seasons after this at $6 million. And Markstrom's shown he's been a Vezina finalist in his career.
Yeah.
He's had some health issues, that Calgary situation.
Yeah, he's on IR right now.
Kind of a dumpster fire. But they got Dustin Wolf out there, who's back-to-back AHL goalie of the year. He's ready to be the guy. And Calgary's a team that's, in flux, new GM.
They got no cap space either, so moving $6 million would be helpful for them.
I mean, if they say, here's Markstrom for 2 seasons with our first-round pick, I take it.
Yeah. They're currently 3 points out of this final wild card spot.
But it's not because of Markstrom. Like, they want to give the job to Wolf.
Oh, yeah. No kidding. Yeah.
And then $6 million, freeing up $6 million allows them to go out and try and get something at the deadline if they want to add to make it into the playoffs. If they come to me, I take that deal because that fits the timeline too. Markstrom is your 1A the next 2. He's your main guy next year.
Yeah.
And then 25-26, he could be your 1A. Comezzo could be your 1B.
This year he is 6-8-2 with a 2.94 and a .896 save percentage. Last year, down year for him.
Last year
892.
Last year was a bad year for everybody in Calgary.
Yeah. But the year before that, 2021-22, that great run for the Flames, 2.22, a .922 save percentage, and 9 shutouts. Now, look, that is, if we're looking at Jacob Markstrom, that's probably the outlier for his career. That's way better than any season he's ever had. He's probably closer to the guy he is this year than anything. But okay, if they're going to give the Hawks some capital to take him on, like the Leafs did with Mrazek, sign me up. Hell, I'll take Mrazek and Markstrom. Fine. I don't care. Like, bring it on.
I have 2 years at $6 million for Markstrom and a first-round pick. That's I make that move. It fits the timeline.
Yeah, I'm down with that for sure.
And Jack Campbell from Edmonton, no.
No, I don't want any part of that.
He's signed for far too long, for far too much, and
farts too much,
and he sucks.
Yeah,
he had like one good 6-month stretch of his entire career, He sucks.
Yeah, I'm good.
I want nothing to do with him.
I'm good on that. Yeah, it's one thing to take. Like Mrazek was bailing out a team that needed cap relief, and he was not performing to the level that a contender needed their goalie to perform at. But he's been fine here when you consider even last year, when you consider what's in front of him, he's been fine. He makes the saves he's supposed to make most of the time. Like, there are very few games in his time in Chicago where I've been like, Petr Mrazek lost that game for the Hawks. Maybe a handful.
We all silly like the mayor.